Not everyone who smiles at you is your friend. That may sound simple, but it's one of the hardest truths most people learn too late in life. Because the most dangerous people aren't the ones who openly oppose you. They're the ones who sit close. They laugh with you, they tell you what you want to hear, and quietly, they take advantage of your trust. Fake people don't always reveal themselves through betrayal or dramatic conflict. Most of the time, their true nature shows up in small moments we often ignore. A missed call that never gets returned. Support that disappears when you're struggling. Kind words that never turn into real action. At first, you brush it off, you make excuses for them. You tell yourself, they're just busy. I'm probably overthinking, but over time, those small moments begin to form a pattern, and deep down, you feel it. That quiet discomfort in your chest. That sense that something isn't right. Stoic philosophy teaches us something powerful here. Pay attention to patterns, not promises. Anyone can say the right words. Anyone can smile at the right moment. But character is revealed through consistent behavior, especially when there's nothing to gain. Recognizing fake people early isn't about becoming suspicious or cold-hearted. It's about self-respect. Because when you fail to recognize insincerity, three dangerous things happen. First, you get used. Your time, your energy, your kindness. Second, you begin to doubt yourself. You wonder why you feel drained, why relationships feel heavy instead of supportive. And third, you lose your inner peace. Marcus Aurelius warned us about this nearly 2,000 years ago. He reminded us that peace of mind is fragile and must be protected with awareness. Stoicism doesn't teach us to hate people, it teaches us to see them clearly. Not everyone deserves full access to your life. Not everyone who stands beside you is standing for you. And here's the most important truth. You don't need many people, you need the right ones. When you learn to recognize fake behavior early, you stop chasing approval, you stop overgiving. You stop explaining your worth to people who never intended to respect it. You remain calm, grounded, unshaken. That is Stoic strength. In this video, we were going to explore clear signs that someone may not be genuine with you, not to make you fearful, but to make you free. Free from manipulation. Free from emotional exhaustion. Free to protect your inner peace. Watch closely, listen carefully. Because awareness is the first step toward unbreakable calm. And once you see these signs, you'll never ignore them again. Sign 1. They are never there when you need them. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been there for someone, truly there, when they were struggling? You listened, you showed up. You gave your time, your energy, your attention, and then one day, you needed them, not for much, just a conversation. Just someone to hear you out, but suddenly they were busy. They didn't answer the call. They promised to call back later, and never did. They had a reason, an excuse, a story ready every time. At first, you tried to be understanding. You told yourself, everyone has their own problems. You didn't want to seem demanding or selfish. But here's the uncomfortable truth. When someone is only present in your life when they need help, that's not friendship. That's convenience. This is one of the clearest signs of a fake relationship. A one-way connection. They show up when they're in trouble. When they're confused. When they need support, advice, or reassurance. But when the roles reverse, they disappear. Stoic philosophy teaches us to judge relationships not by words but by actions, especially during difficult moments. Because hardship reveals character, anyone can be kind when life is easy. Anyone can make promises when nothing is required of them. But real people, genuine people, don't vanish when things get uncomfortable. They may not have the perfect advice. They may not be able to fix your problems, but they show up, even if it's just to listen. When someone repeatedly avoids you during your hardest moments, don't ignore that pattern. That absence is information. And here's where many people get trapped. They take it personally. They feel rejected. They feel unworthy. But the Stoic mindset asks a different question. Is this about my value or about their capacity? Marcus Aurelius reminds us not to place our emotional stability in things outside our control, including the behavior of others. You cannot force someone to care. You cannot make someone show up. But you can decide how much access they have to your life. This doesn't mean becoming bitter. It doesn't mean cutting everyone off in anger. It means adjusting your expectations. It means protecting your inner peace. Because when you stop expecting support from people who have proven they won't give it, something powerful happens. You stop feeling disappointed. You stop chasing validation. You stop pouring energy into empty spaces, and you become stronger. True strength, Stoic strength, is learning to stand firm even when others step away. If someone only values you when you're useful, let that be your lesson, not your wound. Distance, in this case, isn't punishment. It's wisdom. And remembering this one truth will save you years of emotional exhaustion. Never place your hope in the presence of someone who has already shown you they want to be there. That clarity is freedom. Sign 2. They never reach out first. Let me ask you something, and be honest with yourself. If you stopped reaching out today, would this person still be in your life tomorrow? Think about it. How many times have you been the one to send the first message, the one to make the call, the one to check in, to ask how they're doing, to keep the connection alive? At first, it doesn't feel wrong. You tell yourself you're just being kind. You care more. You value relationships. But over time, something begins to feel off. Because real connection isn't built on one person carrying all the weight. When someone never initiates contact, it sends a quiet but powerful message. Not with words, but with behavior. It says, you are optional. It says, this relationship exists only when it's convenient for me. And that realization can hurt. Many people stay trapped here because they're afraid of the answer. So they keep reaching out, they keep trying. They keep proving their loyalty to someone who never asked for it. But Stoic philosophy teaches us a different approach. Instead of chasing clarity, we observe. Instead of demanding effort, we step back. And when we step back, the truth reveals itself. Because if the relationship disappears the moment you stop initiating, then you were never a priority to begin with. That doesn't mean you aren't valuable. It means they didn't value you the same way. And that distinction matters. Epictetus reminded us that suffering doesn't come from events themselves. It comes from the expectations we attach to them. When you expect effort from someone who has shown you none, disappointment is inevitable. But when you lower expectations, you regain control. This isn't about becoming cold or distant. It's about becoming honest. Honest about where you stand. Honest about how much energy you're giving. Honest about what the relationship truly is, not what you hope it might become. Here's something I've learned the hard way. The moment you stop initiating and someone fades away, you feel a sting. But shortly after comes relief. Because now you're no longer guessing, no longer overthinking, no longer investing in silence. Stoicism doesn't tell us to cut people off aggressively. It teaches us to stop forcing connections that aren't mutual. You don't need to confront. You don't need to explain. You simply redirect your energy toward those who show up willingly, toward those who ask about you without being reminded. Those who reach out because they want to, not because they need something. And when you do this, something powerful happens. Your peace returns. Your self-respect strengthens. Your emotional world becomes quieter and clearer. Remember this, the less you expect from those who give little, the less they can hurt you. Let people meet you where they choose, and let your silence reveal who truly values your presence. That clarity is Stoic freedom. Sign 3. Everything is always about them. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling strangely exhausted, even though you barely said a word? You met up with someone, you listened, you nodded, you supported, and the entire conversation revolved around them. Their problems, their achievements, their opinions, their struggles. When you finally try to share something from your own life, the moment passes quickly. They interrupt. They change the subject, or worse, they hear you but they don't listen. This is one of the clearest signs of a fake connection. Because genuine relationships are built on mutual presence, not one person using the other as an audience. Self-centered people don't see conversations as exchanges. They see them as stages. You're not there to be understood. You're there to provide attention, validation, and emotional labor, and over time that drains you. You may tell yourself, they're just going through a lot. You try to be patient. You try to be understanding, but notice the pattern. When you are struggling, they suddenly lose interest. When you need support, they redirect the conversation back to themselves. Your emotions are brushed aside, minimized, or ignored. That's not misunderstanding, that's indifference. Stoic philosophy reminds us of something important. We are not obligated to carry the emotional weight of those who refuse to carry ours. You don't own limited access to anyone, especially those who don't respect your inner world. And here's where many people make a mistake. They get angry, they argue. They try to explain why they deserve to be heard. But Stoicism teaches a different response. Don't argue, don't confront emotionally. Don't try to change someone who isn't listening. Instead, observe. Because a person who constantly talks about themselves is revealing something valuable. They lack the maturity for real connection. And that realization isn't meant to hurt you. It's meant to free you. You don't need to announce your distance. You don't need to create drama. You simply stop overgiving. You stop being the free listener. You stop investing energy where there is no reciprocity. And something powerful happens. Your emotional space clears, your mind becomes calmer, your self-respect grows. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that we should not waste our energy being disturbed by the flaws of others, but instead choose our responses wisely. Distance, in this case, is not punishment. It's self-preservation. And remember this, a real friend doesn't make you feel invisible in your own life. They don't silence your experiences. They don't reduce your emotions to background noise. If someone only talks but never listens, they are showing you who they are. Believe them. And choose peace over participation. That choice is Stoic strength. Sign 4. They forget the things that matter to you. Let me ask you something that might feel uncomfortable. Have you ever shared something deeply personal with someone, a story from your past, a milestone you were proud of, a dream you were quietly working toward, only to realize later they don't remember any of it, not a detail, not a question, not even a simple follow-up? At first, you wonder if you're being too sensitive. After all, people forget things, right? But over time, it keeps happening. You mention an important moment in your life and they look at you with confusion. You talk about a goal you've shared before and they act like it's the first time hearing it. And slowly, you begin to feel something heavier than disappointment. You feel unseen. Because forgetting once is human, but consistently forgetting what matters to you is a sign of something deeper. It's a sign that you were never fully present in their mind to begin with. People remember what they care about, not because they force themselves to, but because attention naturally follows value. Think about this. The people who genuinely care about you remember the small things. They remember the trip you were nervous about, the interview you were preparing for, the dream you were hesitant to say out loud. They ask, "How did that go?" They follow up. They stay curious about your life. Not because it's their responsibility, but because your life matters to them. Now compare that to someone who forgets your stories, your milestones, your plans. They may still talk to you. They may still laugh with you, but the connection stays shallow. Stoic philosophy teaches us to see relationships for what they are, not what we wish them to be. When someone repeatedly forgets what you've shared, they're showing you the depth of their involvement. And that clarity, while painful, is valuable. Here's where many people struggle. They keep repeating themselves. They keep explaining. They keep hoping that this time they'll be remembered. But Stoicism doesn't ask us to beg for attention. It asks us to choose wisely where we place our energy. Letting go of superficial relationships isn't coldness, it's discernment. It's understanding that your time, your stories, and your dreams are not meant for everyone. You don't need a large circle. You need a meaningful one. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that life is too short to waste emotional energy on people who don't truly see us. So when you notice someone consistently forgets what matters to you, don't argue. Don't accuse. Don't internalize it. Simply step back, create space. And in that space, allow room for people who listen, who remember, who care without being reminded. Because the right people won't make you feel like a footnote in your own story. They'll make you feel remembered. And choosing that level of connection is Stoic wisdom in action. If this resonates so far, stay with me. The next signs are even more revealing. Sign 5. They always want something from you. Let's talk about a truth many people sense, but few are willing to face. Have you ever noticed that some people only show interest in your life when they're asked something they can gain? They ask questions, they check in, they seem supportive. But if you look closely, their attention always comes with a condition. They're present when you're useful, when you have resources, when you have access, influence, or something they need. And the moment that value disappears, so do they. This is one of the most subtle and dangerous forms of fake connection because it doesn't look hostile. It looks friendly. Conditional care often disguises itself as concern. They ask about your job, but only to see if it benefits them. They show interest in your plans, but only to position themselves closer to opportunity. And as long as you're giving, the relationship continues. But the moment you struggle, the moment you need support, the moment you ask instead of offer, their energy changes, messages slow down, excuses appear. They suddenly become busy. That's when the truth becomes impossible to ignore. A real relationship doesn't vanish when the balance shifts. Stoic philosophy teaches us to study motives, not appearances. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that many people act out of self-interest, not malice. Understanding this keeps us calm instead of bitter. This isn't about blaming them. It's about protecting yourself. Because when someone only stays close to take, they will drain you. Emotionally, mentally, sometimes even financially. And here's where many people make a mistake. They overgive, hoping that generosity will turn into loyalty. They believe that kindness will be remembered. But kindness without boundaries invites exploitation. The Stoic response is not anger, not confrontation, not revenge. It's awareness. Once you recognize someone's motivation, you don't need to argue with them. You simply adjust your distance. You stop offering more than is returned. You stop giving access to someone who only sees you as a resource. This doesn't make you cold. It makes you wise. And not everyone deserves unlimited access to them. A genuine person stands with you even when there's nothing to gain. They don't disappear when you fall. And when you begin to choose relationships based on mutual respect instead of convenience, something changes. You feel lighter. More grounded. Remember this. People who only take will never be satisfied, but people who respect you will never need to use you. See motives clearly. Keep your distance where needed. That's not rejection. That's Stoic self-respect. Sign 6. They talk about you behind your back. Some of the most dangerous attacks don't happen in front of you. They happen when you're not in the room. People who speak badly about you behind your back rarely announce themselves. They don't confront you directly. They don't openly challenge you. Instead, the signs are subtle. Their smile feels forced. Their compliments carry a sharp edge. Their words sound polite, but something feels off. You may notice sarcastic remarks disguised as jokes, or casual comments that quietly minimize your achievements. When you succeed, they change the subject. When others praise you, they interrupt. When your name comes up, the energy in the room shifts. This behavior isn't random. It comes from insecurity. People who talk behind your back are often driven by envy they don't understand, or aren't brave enough to admit. Your progress reminds them of what they haven't done. Your discipline exposes their excuses. Your growth makes them uncomfortable with their own stagnation. So, instead of improving themselves, they try to pull you down quietly, socially, indirectly. Stoic philosophy teaches us something powerful here. You do not control what others say, but you do control how much power their words have over you. Marcus Aurelius warned us not to waste energy reacting to gossip. Why? Because gossip reveals the speaker's character, not yours. If someone truly believed they were superior to you, they wouldn't need to talk about you at all. Think about that. People who are secure don't compete through rumors. They don't tear others down in private conversations. Only insecure minds do that. And here's the mistake many people make. They try to defend themselves to everyone. They chase explanations. They attempt to clear their name in rooms they were never meant to enter. That's exhausting and unnecessary. The Stoic response is calm distance. You don't explode, you don't seek revenge, you don't engage in the same behavior, you continue to act with integrity. You let consistency speak louder than words. Because over time, patterns become visible. People notice who builds and who whispers, who creates and who criticizes, who stands firm and who hides behind sarcasm. And here's the truth most people learn too late. If someone talks badly about others to you, they will eventually talk badly about you to others. That's not personal. That's character. So instead of obsessing over what's said behind your back, focus on what's built in front of you, your work, your values, your discipline. Let them talk. Their words cannot touch your character unless you invite them in. Remember this Stoic principle? Other people's opinions do not define your worth. Only your actions do. Stay composed, stay focused, and walk forward without explaining yourself. Because silence, backed by strength, always speaks louder than gossip. SIGN 7. They change their attitude depending on who they're with. Pay close attention to how people treat others, not just how they treat you. Because one of the clearest signs of a fake person is this: their personality changes depending on who's in the room. Around powerful people, they become charming. They flatter, they agree with everything. They smile a little wider. They speak a little softer. But around people they see as having no value, no influence, no advantage, they grow distant, dismissive, cold, and maybe you've noticed something else. When you're doing well, when you're successful, confident, or winning, they suddenly become friendly again. They want to be close. They want to be seen with you. But when you struggle, when you fail, when life humbles you, their warmth disappears. This kind of behavior reveals something important. It shows they don't have core values. They don't stand on principles. They stand on opportunity. Their relationships are not built on respect. They're built on usefulness. Stoic philosophy teaches us to judge character not by words, but by consistency. A person with integrity behaves the same whether they're speaking to a CEO or a janitor, whether they're winning or losing, whether there's something to gain or not. When someone changes their attitude based on status, they're telling you exactly who they are. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If they treat others this way, they will eventually treat you this way. Today you're valuable. Tomorrow, maybe not. And when that day comes, you'll see the real version of them, not the polished one. Many people excuse this behavior by calling it being strategic or playing the game, but Stoics saw through that illusion long ago. A person who bends their character to fit every situation eventually stands for nothing. And when life tests them, as it always does, they won't stand with you. They'll stand with whatever benefits them most. So ask yourself this powerful question: if I lost everything tomorrow, my status, my success, my influence, would this person still be here? Not smiling at me, not benefiting from me, but standing beside me? That question alone will save you years of disappointment. The Stoic response is clarity, not confrontation. You don't need to call them out. You don't need to expose them. You simply stop confusing convenience with loyalty. You choose to invest your time, trust, and energy in people who don't disappear when circumstances change, because real character doesn't fluctuate with fortune. And real allies don't calculate your worth based on what you can offer today. Remember this: anyone can respect power. Only a few respect people. Watch behavior, trust patterns, and align yourself with those who remain steady even when the world shifts. That's how you protect your peace. Sign 8. They feel happy when you fail, but go silent when you succeed. This is one of the hardest signs to accept, because it comes from people who appear supportive. When you struggle, they suddenly show up. They ask questions. They listen closely, they offer comfort, but something about their concern feels off. Their words sound kind, yet their tone carries satisfaction. They say things like, "It happens to everyone," or "at least now you know your limits," and while they pretend to console you, there's a quiet sense of relief behind their eyes. Your failure makes them feel better about themselves. Now watch what happens when your situation changes, when you succeed, when you overcome, when you rise above what once held you back. They don't celebrate. No congratulations. no excitement. No pride for you, instead they go quiet. They downplay your achievement. They change the subject. They avoid mentioning it altogether. This silence speaks louder than words. Because this is not neutrality. This is envy hiding behind politeness. Stoic philosophers warned us about this kind of person. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that many people struggle with other people's success, not because success is wrong, but because it exposes their own unfulfilled potential. Outwardly, they support you. Inwardly, they compete with you. And that makes this form of fake behavior especially dangerous, because they don't attack you openly. They don't wish you harm directly. They simply don't want you to rise above them. Your growth threatens their self-image. Your discipline reminds them of their excuses. Your success forces them to confront what they avoided, so they stay silent or they minimize what you've done. And here's the Stoic lesson most people learn too late. Never expect others to be happy about your success. Not everyone who walks beside you wants to see you win. And that doesn't mean you're wrong for succeeding. It means you're human. The mistake is seeking validation from people who secretly measure themselves against you. Stoicism teaches us a different source of satisfaction, not applause, not recognition. Not approval, but inner alignment. You measure success by your conscience, by your effort, by your values. If you know you acted with discipline, honesty, and courage, that is enough. You don't need cheers from people who clap only when you fall. So what's the right response? Not anger, not confrontation, not bitterness, clarity. You stop sharing your victories with people who can't celebrate them. You stop expecting encouragement from those who benefit emotionally from your struggle. And you protect your peace. Remember this. People who secretly enjoy your failure will never celebrate your success. And people who truly care don't disappear when you win. Walk your path quietly, let your results speak, and find fulfillment in becoming who you respect, even if no one applauds. That is Stoic strength. Recognizing fake people is not about becoming bitter. It's not about hatred, it's not about revenge. And it's definitely not about proving anyone wrong. Stoicism teaches us something far more powerful. Awareness is not a weapon, it's a shield. When you see through false smiles and hidden motives, you don't react with anger. You react with clarity. You stop investing energy where it's not respected. You stop expecting loyalty from those who only show up when it's convenient. You stop confusing familiarity with trust. And most importantly, you protect your inner peace. Because peace is fragile when it's placed in the wrong hands. Fake people thrive on reaction. They feed on emotional chaos. They want drama, attention, and control. But when you remain calm, when you stay grounded, when you quietly step back instead of striking back, you win without fighting. Stoics believe that self-respect begins with self-control. You don't need to expose anyone. You don't need to announce your departure. You don't need to explain why you've changed. Distance is explanation enough. Choosing peace over ego is not weakness. It's maturity. And here's one of the hardest truths to accept, but also one of the most freeing. You don't need many people. You need the right people. One honest connection is worth more than 100 empty ones. One loyal presence outweighs a room full of fake applause. When your inner world is stable, external noise loses its power. People may come and go. Opinions may rise and fall. Praise may turn into silence. But if your values are clear, none of that shakes you. Marcus Aurelius wrote that true strength is being satisfied with your own conscience. If you know you acted with integrity, if you stayed disciplined when no one was watching, if you remained kind without being naive, then you've already won. Fake people can only affect you if you allow them access. And Stoicism reminds us, nothing can harm your character without your permission. So move forward with awareness, not anger, with boundaries, not bitterness, with calm confidence, not fear. Your strongest shield is not confrontation. It's inner stability. And if this video helped you recognize someone you've been ignoring signs about, if it helped you feel less alone in your experience, then take a moment to support the channel. Like this video, share it with someone who might need it. And subscribe for more Stoic wisdom that helps you stay strong in a noisy world. And if you watched all the way to the end, Leave a comment below saying, "I've uncovered a fake friend," not to shame anyone, but to remind yourself that from this point forward, you choose clarity, you choose peace, you choose yourself,